Action.
Okay. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Bananas. Okay, guys, not only is this BA's best banana bread, this is one of the BA's bests that I've made the most times. I have made this recipe for this banana bread dozens, hundreds, let's just say hundreds of times. It always comes out perfectly. It always makes me very happy. I've never made it here in the test kitchen though, so it's all gonna be like different. First things first, the time that you make banana bread is when you have bananas that look like this, and the people that you live with are like, ew, disgusting, why are there brown spots all over my bananas? They're actually very sweet when they get to this stage. The starches change and they're not, they get more like pudding-like. That's really the first thing. That is the first step, is like, you want overripe bananas. If they're not overripe, your banana bread will lack moisture. It will also lack sweetness. It will lack banana-ness. And the whole point is the bananas. Okay, next thing, before you start getting into your mixing, because everything goes pretty quickly, prep the pan. I have to say the metal is a great choice because it conducts heat even better than glass. So I think we're gonna get beautiful browning on the banana bread, and that's a lot of bees. So before I put any batter in my burnished metal banana bread pan, all right, light coating, lightly coating my arm, lightly coating the floor. So then the recipe says to put the parchment paper, which we obviously tore to fit, with a long overhang, or a generous overhang on the long sides, which is these sides right here, and that is for making banana hammock is different. I know that that has another meaning, but later we will make a banana bread hammock through our lifters. What is that called when you have to be taken off the field and they come and they get you on a stretcher?
A stretcher,
It's like
yes.
a stretcher or a banana bread gurney or a banana hammock. Yeah, bounteous border for my banana bread. But yes, this will help with the lifting that has to happen later. Sorry, backing up. Another thing that you want to do before you do anything is take some butter out of the fridge because it needs to be softened. The reason for softening butter is so that it whips with the sugar in the right way. So actually, the sugar and the butter together make a whole cutting motion. The butter is getting cut through with the little tiny razors of the sugar, and that actually incorporates a lot of air into the butter. So when you press into the butter, your finger should make an impression, and it does. This is pulling back and I'm getting a little peak, which is we're right on the edge. So if you push in and your finger makes an impression that stays there but it doesn't like smush everything out, you have softened butter. Have I made this with half all-purpose, half whole wheat? Yes, I have. You may do that. You will not get the same rise. A little bit of kosher salt and baking soda. Okay, whisk together all-purpose flour, salt, baking soda for the sour, and that just gets set aside. So, softened butter, half a stick, dark brown sugar. Have I used light brown sugar at home in a pinch? Yes, I have. What you miss out on is a little bit of that darker molasses richness of the dark brown sugar. Totally fine. We're using plain yogurt. You can use mascarpone, which is how the recipe is written. You could use sour cream. These are all good alts. I'm gonna beat this energetically. Butter and sugar. And like I said before, the little crystals of the sugar are being lashed about through this beating action. So that's why the recipe says to do this for 4 minutes, which seems like an insane amount of time. It's actually the perfect amount of time to mash your bananas. So just be cool about it. Actually set a timer because people don't think that 4 minutes is real. But this is a really important part of getting the nice height on the banana bread. So the times that I've made this at home and I didn't get a great rise, 2 reasons. Baking soda could have been a little too old, or I was a little too impatient with the whipping, which is the thing that happens. So I'm really excited. I don't have a potato masher at home. I only have forks. So I'm very excited about this tool, which is the perfect tool. The other thing that happens when you mash bananas is they kind of go from matte, using that word again, but it's not like bananas are juicy, but when you mash them well enough, they get really shiny and softened, and you want to get to that point. You don't have to go crazy smooth on this. There can be pieces of banana. All right, so those are ready now. So when we were working on the development for BA's Best banana bread, first we started with what we always start with BA's Best, which is what is whatever recipe we have to make. What is banana bread? And then everybody goes through like what banana bread is to them. The banana bread to me was a recipe from Fannie Farmer's baking book that my mom made my whole life growing up. It did not have nuts in it, and it did not have raisins in it, and it didn't have an icing or anything like that. It was just very tall and very moist and very delicious. Moist is a word that a lot of people have a problem with, but it is a word that's important with banana bread. Hold on, I want to scrape down my sides because I feel like we're getting close.
About 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's very aerated. You can see that it changed so much in color, and it also gained volume, right? So that's how you know there's air in there. That's what that space is. All right, this is looking really lovely and nice and light and creamy. There's a little bit, you can see there's a little bit of graininess. Don't worry about it. 2 large eggs are gonna go in one at a time. True story. Second egg. Bingo bango. Wow, she looks broken. It's gonna be fine. This has happened to me many times. So what is happening is it could be a little bit of the temperature change too between the eggs being a little bit colder than the butter mixture was, and I think it caused some of the fat to bead up. And we also added a lot of liquid, which is kind of just doing its own thing in that mixture. But this is trust. I've made this many times and the same thing sometimes happens, and then it's all fine. Yeah, you gotta lower your speed unless you don't mind a ton of flour kind of kicking back into your face. The other thing, I don't have one of those flour slides, but this is always a moment when the roundness of the bowl and the roundness of this bowl with the thing, and then I get a lot of flour on the surface of my counter. I'll try to gather it in the middle. And then I don't want to over mix at this point because see, now it's all creamy, beautiful emulsion. We made our batter and it looks amazing. I don't want to over mix here because once you have liquid and flour coming together, you have created gluten, and we don't want a tough banana bread. We want like a deliciously tender. Okay, and now the bananas go in. So if you were doing those extras, you would do it at the last stage. The walnuts, the pecans, banana peanut. I mean, why not? All right, this looks gorge. Batter's going in. Ever since I wrote my book, I've been thinking about this a ton. Basically, everything I know about anything about cooking, I learned from somebody else. And then even the things that you think you came up with on your own, then you tell somebody about it, and they're like, oh yeah, I do that. So it does not surprise me, obviously, that there's something going on here that I learned from someone. I just wish I could remember who it was so I could give them credit.
It was me.
Was it?
It was definitely me.
Okay, Brad taught me this thing, and you can do this with any loaf cake, pound cake, any kind of thing like that, is just to give it a little crispy topper, like a little added crunch. I take sugar in the raw, or you could even use granulated sugar, and sprinkle that over the top of the cake. And then when it bakes, you just get a little bit of a texture differential, and it looks a little bit sparkly, and it's a little bit crunchy. Sometimes I add a little bit of flaky salt too, if I'm feeling very sassy. It is an adaptation with respect to the original, but I just really like what happens when it bakes.
You'll see.
If you don't do it, it's totally fine. It's going to be amazing. All right, now it's going in the oven, which is set to a predetermined temperature that I can't remember.
350.
350.
For 60 to 65 minutes.
I like to go sideways because I feel like the heat is more even across than if you go the long way and the oven is cooler in the front and hotter in the back. It has been 60 to 65 minutes. The time has come to banana hammock this banana bread the hell out of this pan. The time has come to airlift this banana bread right out of the pan. But look how beautiful before we do that. All of those little sparkles and the little crunchles. And then these cracks are normal. So if your banana bread cracks, it's totally fine. The reason that it cracked is because it rose and then it falls back down. So as it rises, it sort of pulls the batter apart and that creates a little seam. And then as it falls back down, it settles back into place. So that's why it has a crack. It's just all part of the natural leavening. And then we have our beautiful lifter. So if you didn't have the parchment, which speaking from experience sometimes happens, while it's still warm, you should just cut around the outside of the bread, let it cool. This cools in the pan for a whole hour, and then you're just gonna invert it onto your hand and then back onto the board. But we did have parchment because we're in the test kitchen. We have everything. It looks really gorgeous. It's perfect. It's perfectly risen and really nice browning. Mine doesn't get this brown in the glass pan, so note to the wiser, if that's how that expression goes, a metal pan will give you even better browning. So then in my house, the first slice is, it's on a little bit of an angle, you know? So the first slice is all about tidying up the edge, also known as a Scooby snack. That is for the cook. But it's really gorgeous. It's very tight crumb. You can see all those like threads of the banana itself. That darker brown is the banana fiber, I guess. And then the top piece is the best. Or like a muffin top. I've never had it cold because I always can't wait until it cools down. So my first slice is usually warm. So yeah, don't cut your banana bread too thinly because then it will crumble. I like a nice thick slice of banana bread. It's just perfect. It's the perfect shape. Everything about it's perfect. Super moist, all the way cooked through. One of the things that we had to troubleshoot when we were working on the banana bread recipe, you know how sometimes with some banana breads, after you cook it, it has this like kind of rubbery, underbaked, like wet sand across the bottom? That was the thing. It's about moisture content and about leavener and about temperature in the pan and the oven. And we totally figured it out because there is none of that here and it's really evenly from top to bottom. It's perfect. It's BA's best. This is the only banana bread. We have softened butter, also great with cream cheese. And day after, I highly recommend popping this in the toaster on like a low toast setting. Warm it up, crisp it up, and then your butter will melt in or your cream cheese will soften. Everything sweet should have something a little bit salty because life isn't just sweetness. You know what I mean? Leonie, are you a banana bread lover of the banana?
I am.
Are you? Some people...
Yeah, but I gotta ask before I look or eat.
Yeah.
Nuts or no nuts?
No nuts.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Proceed.
So this is a nice slice with butter and salt. But if you would like it plain Jane, I can fix that up for you. We were talking about toast.
Cast iron.
Delicious.
Delicious banana bread.
So moist.
Very moist, great flavor.
Very banana-y.
Which I like.
Not too sweet.
No, this is very nice. I'm kind of picky with my banana bread.
I am too.
Not
and this
too
one,
sweet.
and this one's ruined me for all others. It only has brown sugar.
It's delicious.
So it doesn't go too like crazy cake. But basically it's cake. I mean, when you get right down to it.
With a little bit of salt.
Do you know people who don't like bananas? Are you familiar with this group of people?
Yeah, probably Rappo.
He hates them.
I don't think Morocco likes it.
He doesn't. He hates them. And you know who else hates bananas? Martha Stewart. Hates bananas.
Really?
Yeah, she hates them. Gabby,
That was great. Hey, Gabby.
do you like bananas?
Banana bread is one of my all-time favorites. I do like nuts on it.
You do the nuts.
Yes.
We just were talking about
It's
the nuts.
sometimes like optional.
Yeah.
So like
What kind of nut?
I like walnuts.
Okay.
Or like pecans.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you don't make the BA's best banana bread?
No, but I'm gonna start making it.
Yeah, you are. We used to have bananas in the kitchen, but then
I stopped
they got
ordering.
outlawed by Gabby because they would go overripe, right? Yeah. So do you ever freeze them? It's good,
I don't.
isn't it?
What, you use them frozen here?
No, they were fresh.
I use them frozen.
It's great when they're the ones I had at home were practically liquefied. People don't like bananas though.
I heard that.
Yeah, people have very strong anti-banana feelings.
I don't like those people.
I know, but Chris Morocco's one of them.
Oh, really?
The man hates
I
bananas.
forgot about that. Yes.
So, and then one time he had to do a like Yonana recipe, you know,
Yes.
where you take the frozen banana and try to make like ice cream out of it.
Yeah.
He almost went insane. It was like the worst week of his life.
I have a theory that people that have like reactions like that with bananas,
Yeah.
it's like probably when they were little,
That's
either
what
they,
Brad
they
said.
have like green or too much
Exactly.
or too many or bad experiences with bananas.
Texture.
I can eat them if they're green and I can eat them if they're overripe.
We love bananas.
Yes, we're bananas for bananas. Thank you. I'm gonna
Perfect.
go and find Andy.
Okay, great.
He's hiding somewhere.
Cool.
Thank you.
Bananas for bananas. You heard it here first, folks. And if you've been making other banana breads, you've been doing it wrong. That's all there is to say. Unless Tommy wants me to say something else.
That's all there is to say.